But yeah, guys, I think we can start. I just want to start off by saying thank you very much to EraMeta for making some time today to join us for what is normally our weekly AMA. But today we make it a bit special. We change format a bit. And, as I said just earlier, have somebody to bounce ideas off. And especially when, both our projects are pretty similar in the fact that we both work on the metaverse and what we believe the metaverse will look like in the upcoming months and the upcoming years, to be honest. But yeah, I'm Oscar. I'm the co-founder and CEO of Agoraverse, also known as Lofts Business Club. But I'll let you guys introduce yourself, of course, and if you can tell us a bit more about EraMeta and yourself and what you do for the project.
Yeah, of course. So I'm Damon Robinson. I'm co-founder and CEO of EraMeta. A little bit of backstory on me. I'm from Canada. I studied finance and accounting in university, and I worked as an analyst in the wealth management industry for 3 years, where I had a heavy focus on tech stocks, and that's really how I got into Web3. And I was a crypto investor for long before that, but when I started studying companies moving into Web3, so it kind of showed me the opportunities that were arising from it. But yeah, that's how I got into EraMeta, into Web3. Jordan, if you want to introduce yourself.
So my name's Jordan Edelstein. I was just intrigued by the space, just the power, that I see communities creating, just the way people can just rally behind an idea and just turn it into something bigger than you could even imagine. And yeah, I met longtime friend, I guess, of Damon now, and happy to be working alongside him to build something really amazing and bring something, bring a quality project or company, I guess, to this space.
Super cool. And
Perfect.
When I was also first introduced to your project by a member of the community, actually, and they were like, these guys are doing this very relevant thing of bringing, the whole goal of onboarding businesses to the metaverse. And yeah, if you want to go maybe more into what EraMeta is about, because you also got the launchpad, you got a lot of stuff going on over there.
Yeah, of course. I'll jump into it right now. So simply put, EraMeta is a Web3 creators hub. So essentially, we're a platform where businesses and individuals can have access really to a simplified onboarding into Web3, whether it be through NFTs or the Metaverse. The first product that we're releasing, it'll be coming at the beginning of July, is a fully automated, no human interaction NFT launchpad, essentially. We like to call it a storefront generator because it's more than just a minting page. But essentially, it allows people to launch an NFT in under 5 minutes with no human interaction, no nothing. The goal really was to simplify it enough so that inexperienced or people that aren't as knowledgeable in the space are able to get their foot in and release that collection and just have an easier entry into the industry. We also we don't provide just a minting page. It's a fully customizable storefront. So there's going to be a variety of different templates, ways to customize it, make it your own business, your own marketplace. And you can release several collections through this with, analytics to track them, and other features that help you really run it as a business. And then, the other part of our business really is Metaverse solutions. So we provide Metaverse solutions for real life businesses, ways for them to monetize their business in the Metaverse. And we're building a platform that's going to allow them really to manage their business through analytics and whatnot from their own computer. So similar to like Shopify or Wix for Web 2, that's really what we're trying to do for Web 3. And we're also, because our goal is to bring in Web 2 players into Web 3, we also have a duty to inform these individuals and to help educate them on the space. So we really want to take on that whole hub feel. So you'll be able to come on, you'll be able to use the products to enter the industry. But before that, you'll also be able to read about, what is an NFT, how to create an NFT, what the technology has been used for, things like that. So you can really learn about the industry before you enter it. And yeah, like our goal really is to be that hub. And with our NFT, which, our whitelist mint is a week from tomorrow. You get profit distribution on both of our products, so on the Launchpad and on the Metaverse side as well.
Yeah.
And you also get access into our DAO, which we are really using to incubate these, or to help incubate these Metaverse businesses. If you go on the website, erameta.io/metaventures, you can learn more about the process of how businesses will apply on our website, and it'll get placed for a voting in front of the DAO. And it'll help us make decisions on resource allocations for these businesses and which ones we choose to build in the metaverse. But yeah, our goal is really to be a creators hub, a place where individuals can come and learn about the industry and also enter it using our products.
Super cool. I mean, that's a lot of different interesting topics that you already touched on there. Just so I can get kind of the planning of the space out. We're gonna bounce some questions off each other, talk about our respective project and what's coming up, and towards the end, we're aiming for an hour-long space here. Towards the end, we will leave the floor open to anybody from the audience to ask either a question to ourselves or to EraMeta here. So one thing that I found interesting in what you just said was about the education aspect, and especially in those times where, let's say that flipping and all those kind of activities are not as lucrative as they were like a couple of months ago. I think the value comes back to the projects that are actually building with a kind of a broader, like a more long-term objective of, you talked about onboarding Web 2 to Web 3. In my opinion, and I've crusaded for it kind of. I think that's the purpose for NFTs. It's really being the onboarding experience for the general audience into Web3. I think that's what NFTs really have value in, other than the just speculative nature, hype nature, all that stuff. And especially when it's not as popular as it is nowadays, it's a great opportunity for projects that are actually trying to do that to kind of step up. But what is kind of your take on what an NFT is for, and the kind of whole Web 2 into Web 3? Do you think that's the value that NFTs actually possess?
Yeah, I think it is. I think right now, like you said, like with the industry where it currently is, all of it really revolves around speculation, and with the majority of projects being just smaller aspects with not like a long-term vision, not here to really help the ecosystem. It kind of gets a bad rep, and people, just as crypto did at the beginning. It is very volatile and whatnot, and just the people that are participants in the industry aren't, you typically aren't the very experienced investors. So it gets a bad rap, but I agree that it can be seen as like a way to onboard people into the industry. I think the technology obviously has its own uses, and it's starting to move more towards it being tied to real life things, products, and whatnot. But yeah, I agree that it can be used as an onboarding process. I mean, I really like the technology behind it needs to be like the driving force in the use of NFTs. Yeah. But certainly, and like being involved in, I think a great thing about NFTs is the community aspect, and I think it can be really powerful down the line as people get more, as the members of the communities get more knowledgeable and experienced in the industry. When people are being onboarded and they can like get access to these communities, they'll have access to a bunch of people that can help them, that can educate them, which I think is a very powerful thing with NFTs. And it's one thing that we really see for EraMeta is if we're creating this creators hub, we also want a very strong and involved DAO. Which is why we did our private sale, and we built a base of longer term investors. Yeah, like we really want the DAO to be a part of the company and be able to like bring in individuals such like to bring in the DAO so that they have valuable opinions on what we're onboarding and whatnot, so they can learn more themselves. Yeah,
I could also see like down the line, I could really see projects getting more selective with how they even like sell out a project, because if you just have 3,000 random people, voting, and things can get messy. But when you handpick individuals and form, teams or section off teams, you can, just you can do some crazy things. So
Yeah.
I think down the line, I'd love to see projects getting more selective with, with that type of thing.
I think
It'd be nice to see.
that's a really interesting point, because I remember one of our calls, Damon, like a couple of weeks ago. I was actually sharing that kind of worry that, obviously we had minted out back in February, and we had already kind of experienced the kind of relationship we could have with the community. And what I was worried about is that maybe Solana and its kind of community wasn't really prepared for what kind of project you were trying to build, something that's way more serious in nature, something that's way more long-term orientated, something that requires patience. And I actually liked I think the approach that you had is not perfect, because you can never be perfect in this space, but it's very much it works with what you are promoting. And it's something that if I had to do again, probably would have done something similar. But it's always hindsight is 2020.
Yeah, hindsight's 2020. Yeah, but yeah, no,
So,
I agree, and that's why we broke it down really into. I mean, we started with no diamond key, right? And like the way our NFT is there's 10 diamond keys, 100 gold keys, and 3,000 silver keys, and they each have different voting powers. And that's why we like introduced the gold keys and the diamond keys, is to have somewhat of a hierarchy. Like the diamond keys carry 20% of the voting power, same with gold keys, and 60% remains with the silver keys. So it's still like a diversified kind of voting system. But I think an era of hierarchy, a little bit of centralization is required right now, because I don't think everybody's ready for full DAOs where everybody's got the same voting power and whatnot. So that's why we did it that way, and we did it like individually for the gold keys and the diamond keys, and we vetted each holder. Yeah.
You just said something that I love, because we need a little bit of centralization. It is it is often really frowned upon when you're in Web3, but the thing is, when you're going full decentralization, is something I've noticed in a couple of different projects, is individuals will always act in their best interest, their own personal interest, and you can't fault them for that. That's only logical. And doing that can harm the project kind of on a larger scale. So I definitely do agree that for your type of project, our type of project, even you do need a bit of centralization, and you can't really leave everything up to the DAO, really. And it's something that's a bit taboo, in Web3, but I think it's something that inevitably projects will kind of lean more into, because when you're building a company, when you're building something that is here to last, you're taking measures that are for the company's benefit. And that's the important thing, because afterwards you have employees that that rely on you, and you have all those kind of things that come into play, and that's an important thing to take into account.
Of course.
One thing,
yeah.
I like to ask this question often in different spaces and stuff, is what's your definition of the metaverse? Because that has to be like the vaguest word that is out there. I have my definition, you probably have yours, so I'm just curious to know what the metaverse is for you.
I mean,
that's the hard one.
It's a tough one. I see a lot of different uses for the metaverse, really. I mean, for us, like the main focus is really on that B2B, like bringing in businesses into the metaverse and helping them use it to sell their products, to have a more immersive like consumer experience. And really, it's the next kind of stage of like online shopping. I really see as a big avenue for the metaverse. I mean, one definition. It would like, fuck. It's a tough one, honestly. Like, there's a lot of different things that the metaverse can be used for, but that's like our focus is really bringing businesses that can showcase their products, or have a more customized experience for their store in the metaverse, because the thing with the metaverse is you can really do anything. It's so open to customization, and it allows you to do things with your storefront you would never be able to do in real life, or it would cost a lot more money. And it also, I mean, another really powerful thing about it for us is the analytical nature of it. So I mean, there'll be tons of different analytics that you could track that you wouldn't be able to do so in real life, or you would need very like advanced, systems to do so, like motion detectors and stuff like that, to track certain analytics. But the analytics themselves can be transferable directly to your actual store. And I'm actually curious to hear your opinion on like trackable analytics in the metaverse and how it can transfer to real life stores, and what that would look like for Agoraverse.
Yeah, I think it's a very important aspect of the whole shopping experience is obviously having products that are catered to your wishes. That's how it has worked with algorithm and all that stuff. And one thing that we had early on in our ideas, because we build those meta shops, so we have built one for EraMeta, but we are also building ones for real life businesses, is to have this kind of statistical element to these stores that you can see in real time. If it's an NFT store, you can see in real time the floor price, the movement, what the transactions are, what the buyer typically buys, what the holder also holds in terms of other NFTs. Stats are just such a powerful just a powerful component of the experience that you can't really pass by. We also had the idea of having, we obviously our idea of our metaverse is having this shopping center metaverse, so one that regroups all the different meta shops that we will build and that users will be able to build, and providing some experiences that are not possible on an online web page, and that aren't even possible in real life. Really taking advantage of what a 3D environment looks like. And I had these ideas because I always like to play around gamification. You have those leaderboards in a ton of game, and you have all this competitive aspect. And I was already picturing leaderboards kind of showcasing, okay, this guy has spent this much in this store and he is the top for the week, and then you have this top for the month, this guy spent, and really making it one of the most interesting parts of it. I think competition, and that's what video games gamification allows. It's just this. It's a very powerful tool to incentivize consumption, and that's very, very valuable for businesses. As you can probably also talk about when businesses are interested in the metaverse. Part of it is because of this reason for the gamification aspect, but also the statistical aspect.
Yeah, definitely. And it kind of brings me to another point. You spoke about how like the shopping center and Agoraverse. And I wanted to ask you guys, like, at what point you decided to kind of pivot a bit and focus more on real businesses, rather than on like the lofts aspect, more towards Agoraverse.
Yeah. I think it's really a case of us learning how the space works. We minted back in February. We sold out really quickly because the metaverse was the hype back then. January, February, it was crazy times for the metaverse. Any project with metaverse would sell out, and well, really any project would sell out. It was really height of the bull run back then, the good old days, as we would call them now. And once we sold out and secondary market did what secondary market did, we were kind of facing the issue that how do we scale this product to make it actually a company that will last for years, because that is what we want to do. We want to work in Web3. We want to work on our company. We have a strong community that's interested in the project and in the product, and how can we make that product more interesting? Because the lofts was a cool idea. I still think it's a really cool idea, but back then it was only you get your virtual apartment and you can customize it, and that was enough for people to buy it. And then when you really start to think about it, it's like, okay, is actually anybody going to use this? And we started thinking more of how would we use it? What would we like to do in the metaverse? Thinking from there, and not really thinking we're going to make a product and people are going to like it. No, we really had to think about how we can make it interesting, and that's how we can come to the conclusion of the shopping center aspect, because we are in the NFT space. There's a big kind of economic mercantile value, trading, buying, minting, and we can replicate this experience inside the metaverse. Why not? But we can also add on to this and not only have NFTs being traded, but you can also have your traditional online shopping experience as well, and kind of group those two things, so they go, they are both part of the same environment, real life conveniences but also digital conveniences. And we thought that was really unique, and we think there is a niche there, and we have been proven right by the different talks that we held with real life companies that are obviously interested in the metaverse, especially fashion brands and those kind of sectors. And now that we are confronted in this idea, and that our community also responded well to this idea, because that was important, we're very confident with with the vision that we have, the product vision that we have, and that's that took a couple of months to get right. But yeah, once you have that solid foundation, it's just way more comfortable to work on.
Yeah, no, and I completely agree with what you're saying about finding something that's gonna work in the long term, something that's gonna be useful for years, and that's exactly what our main question really was at the beginning of EraMeta. I mean, we started off by wanting to create a launchpad that was automated, that people could just launch easily through without having to go through extensive applications or wait days to get their collection released, whatever it may be. But as we went forward, like we also saw that, I mean, in the future, if this industry is going to be successful, it's going to be because big companies move into it, and other businesses start operating in Web3 and selling, using or selling their products, using their products through Web3, whatever it may be. And that's why we switched to not only being like an automated launchpad, but making it an informational hub, and like a very simple process. It's like it has to be automated, but it also has to be very simple for the user to use, so that we can onboard these companies, and that in the future, really, like, we really hope to make a big impact on the Solana ecosystem in general. Try to bring a lot more capital into it, and bring in businesses that really that are big and that are able to make damage in the industry.
Absolutely. I think that's essential what you just said about, bringing in this capital inside of the ecosystem. Like Solana is already the biggest chain in terms of user base, maybe not in total volume, but it's just one of the most promising chains. One, obviously I'm biased, but it has this capacity of bringing in new people relatively easily, in an accessible way. And what you just said about making it easy and accessible is also something that is really central to our project. It has to be convenient for the general user. The crypto user, the gamer, they will get around it. They will know how to operate those things. It will be natural for them to use a wallet, to use a launchpad, to use all those features. But somebody that's outside of Web3, those things are completely foreign, right? And
Yeah,
you have to make, I think that's how you can kind of scale Solana, is making the tools available, the most convenient and accessible in a way possible. And
exactly.
yeah, it's people's attention span is pretty short, let's say.
Yeah,
It's something that you can definitely notice on Solana, and you have to cater to that. You can't ignore it, right? You can't
yeah,
just say
definitely.
this super convoluted, hard to understand product is great. Yeah, it can be great, in essence, but if it takes more than 10 seconds to understand, you already lost 80% of the user base, right?
Exactly. And I think that's the most difficult part about,
Exactly.
you know, like our business is just that it is a very complex industry. And because of how, volatile the cryptocurrencies themselves are, and just the capital market in general, really, around Web3, whether it be NFTs or crypto, I think that aspect, it plays to our disadvantage, really, because it makes people less inclined to learn more about the industry, and they don't even really think about the technology because of how volatile the cryptocurrencies themselves are. And it's a difficult it's a difficult ask, but as you know, as we go forward, I mean, we've seen it over the last couple of years how much the adoption has increased, and I mean, this always takes a lot of time. It did with Web 2, with the internet. It took decades really for the adoption to fully occur, and I'm sure it'll be a little bit less for cryptocurrency, but it'll still take a long time. But yeah, I see that as being the biggest hurdle, is just educating people and really getting them to understand the technology and look past just the investment look, you know.
Yeah, absolutely. The reason always still today why people mainly get in crypto is because they heard that that guy in 2012 bought 50 Bitcoin at a ridiculous price. It's still that same kind of mentality that drives people to crypto, and that's great in terms of bringing new people in. But then it's not that great when crashes happen, and then it seems like the whole world is collapsing. But it's in our best interest, and that's why I think NFTs are great for this, is to actually onboard people for another reason than just, oh, I heard that guy made 30 Bitcoins back in 2013. Let me find it.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's a tough task. It's one that's going to take a long time, I think.
No, definitely. I mean, I feel like with every person I speak to almost, that asks me about EraMeta, whether it be friends, family, just somebody random, it feels like I'm selling it all over again to every single person that I talk to. And by the end of the conversation, they're all much more inclined. They understand it more. They want to learn more about it. So I mean, it can be done. It's a tough task, of course. With anything with any new technology, it's going to be like that. But I think it'll be. I think it'll happen. Of course.
It definitely. But we talk about this technology, and where I see the value in Web3 technology is, again, going back to it, is kind of convenience. When we started the company, so really back in March, March, April, getting the paperwork done, registering the company, opening up a bank account, all that stuff, I was reminded how much life is easier on Web3, where you're just like, send me your wallet address, I'll send you the amount. There we
Yep.
go. 5 seconds, we're done with it, and we can actually move forward. I don't know how it works for you in Canada, but in France, it's paperwork hell. We're kind of known for that. But I was reminded, okay, there's the value. I can just send this amount of money to somebody at the other side of the world in an instant, because they gave value to my product. They did something for me. They worked in some capacity for me, and I can just pay them and be done with it in a matter of minutes. And that's really where I see the core value of Web3, and then it's kind of adapting this technology to whatever use cases we find.
Yep, I couldn't agree more. It's the same thing for us. And I got another question here. I think you kind of answered it briefly when you said that fashion industry was a big one that you're focusing on right now. But I was going to ask what kind of the first wave of businesses, industry wise, that you think will benefit a lot from the metaverse, and what industry fits the most, and what are you guys focusing on really?
Yeah. So we kind of looked at all the sectors that were potentially interesting, and we found that the retail sector is probably the most interesting, the one that benefits the most from 3D modeling and those kind of experiences. Fashion brands, especially, they have this strong kind of storytelling aspect to them. They have this obviously a visual identity to them, especially in high fashion. Um, they have a story to tell. They have their clothes are they bring this experience in themselves, and the metaverse is a way for those clothes to and even more kind of upgrade this experience. So retail, also, when I'm saying retail, is stuff like jewelry, any industry that really benefits from customers having a better look at their products, and because we believe really in 3D modeling, a product is an actual great way to boost conversion rate. And so yeah, everything that's kind of retail, so fashion, clothing, apparel, but also home furniture, for example, just washing machines, dryers, all that kind of stuff, to also give you an idea of how loud that product can be, or how big it actually is, and give you a more informed more informed experience about the product before purchasing it. That's really the main sectors that we're targeting at the moment, the ones that would benefit from 3D modeling the most. But I'm curious, what's your opinion on this? Because you're obviously very much into that aspect as well with the B2B side of things.
Yeah, I think that you hit the nail on the head. Really, those are the industries that we think. I mean, especially for Agoraverse, like that's what we see for Agoraverse is 3D modeling. Anything that like retail, exactly what you're saying. So, if you're buying a product, you're able to see it in a very high quality, essentially, like the graphics of it, and it really, like you said, is going to increase conversion rates because the users will be able to see it in their hands essentially before they're buying it, and really get to see what the product looks like. They can wear it even on their avatar. With, like you said, with furniture as well, that's another industry. You can decorate your home before you're even buying the furniture. Those are the ones that we see definitely for Agoraverse. I mean, with EraMeta, we're trying to take like a bit of a broader look because we also want to operate on a couple different metaverses. I have another question that is going to kind of come from this, like with the sandbox, and I mean it's a very very different metaverse, obviously, and I think different businesses pertain to different metaverses. Like they fit better with them. I think for the sandbox, it's more gamified, and it's more about like a whole event or experience rather than like the selling of a product. So I think that different metaverses are better for different industries, and I mean, I definitely see retail being the one that fits the most with Agoraverse. But it kind of leads me right into another question that I was going to ask about, just more of an open-ended question about what your opinion kind of was on metaverses like the Sandbox and Decentraland, just in general, what you thought about them, how they could be successful, where they're lacking, stuff like that.
I mean, that's an interesting question, because what we found in a lot of metaverses is they always kind of stuck to the gaming aspect a lot. And where I see an issue in that is that if you want to go for a game, if you want to play a game, you'll play something from an established publisher, you buy something on Steam, buy something for a PlayStation, you buy an established product, right? I don't see really the point of investing too much in an NFT project that's building only a game. That being said, what metaverses like the Sandbox and the Decentraland kind of offer is this the event side of it. So yeah, the ability to run different kind of events, to make it, to present it in a cool way, and also for the users to build what they would like using their tools, especially the Sandbox is that. And we kind of looked at it like we prefer to have like a more realistic approach and then to add gamification to it. So we don't want to just make a one-on-one replica of a shopping center, because obviously, I mean, that's boring. I don't like shopping centers myself personally. uh, I don't really like spending time in them. Some people do. I'm not really that type. But what would make a shopping center experience interesting for me is, seeing people run around, seeing all those different kind of shops with their very own aesthetics and themes, all brought together in a kind of theme park experience. I always bring it back to the theme parks because I've worked in Disneyland. I know how they kind of operate. And one thing that's amazing with Disneyland and those theme parks is that they sell you products 5 times the price. Generic products. You want to buy a Coke, it's €8 or something crazy, right? And people don't complain. It's normal for them. And why they don't complain is because of the experience that's around them. There's such value in the experience that kind of surrounds the whole event, and that's really where we want to put the emphasis on, is kind of building this theme park cross shopping center experience. And is selecting this niche of the shopping center was important for us, because what I see also with a lot of metaverses is maybe they kind of are trying to do too much at once. You know, they're trying to be a game, and at the same time they're trying to do retail, and they're also doing kind of virtual housing, and they're kind of trying to tackle everything, which is on
Yeah,
the
I was about to say they literally just do everything.
yeah,
A lot of the metaverses, it's just
yeah,
very open ended. You come in and you can
yeah.
build whatever you want. Yeah.
It's like it's understandable because what's cool with the metaverse is you can literally think of anything and try to build it, you know. But it's a different thing to make those things interesting afterwards or valuable. And trying to tackle too much stuff at once. We'd rather be really good at one aspect, which is kind of the shopping center aspect, than mediocre in a bunch of them. And that's kind of what we've been going forward. But there's a lot of cool metaverse projects out there. And what's funny is that I think we're all going to shift to kind of the same thing at the end of the day, you know, as time goes by. Um,
Yeah.
we're all going to kind of tend to the thing that sticks the most with the public, because that's what matters. We can have a very cool vision about something, but again, if it doesn't stick with the public, it doesn't matter.
No, definitely. I agree. I agree with you. But yeah, I agree also with the point that just a lot of the metaverses, they're trying to do everything. And I mean, I think it can be kind of valuable when you're learning a lot about what works, what doesn't, and when that time comes when, you know, the industry kind of shows the direction that it's going in.
Yeah.
You can have a, you know, experience on a bunch of different topics, but again, I think that what you guys are doing is the right thing, honestly, and focusing on businesses, focusing on how it can be used in the real world. I think that's where the value in the metaverse truly comes from.
Probably, yeah. Thank you. Well, thank you for confirming our vision. You know, we're kind of trying stuff, to be honest, because it's not really been tried, but we think we have something solid. And what I like with you guys as well is that you recognize this, and you made really that one of that B2B aspect one of your priorities for your project, because there is value in this, and we both know it because we've had talks with probably companies on our side of things. And if you can kind of divulge on that, I'm curious. What's the common kind of theme that those companies trying to get into the metaverse kind of, you know, always come by? You know, what do they always tell you, or if there is one thing in particular that they all share with trying to get in the metaverse?
In all honesty, what we've noticed is that a lot of companies they just want to be in the metaverse. Some of them don't, you know, they don't know the first thing about the metaverse, and that's why being this informational hub is important for us. But a lot of them they just want to be in the metaverse, and
Yeah.
when you explain it to them and you explain, you know, how you can customize it, and really do what you want, because typically like somebody that runs a business for a long time, like, you know, if you give them the platform to recreate their business their own, like another way, and add in a ton of different, really whatever they want, it gets them really excited. And like a huge thing, I guess, for a lot of these businesses is the marketing aspect right now. I mean, you know, if you're able to market that you're moving into the metaverse, it's kind of like you're revolutionizing your industry. You're typically going to be the first one really to do it. So that's a huge thing that they are also interested in. But I think it comes down to what type of business it is, and how, you know, you portray it to them. And because in the end, the majority of the businesses we speak to are not very knowledgeable on the metaverse, and we spend time educating them really in how we see them functioning in the metaverse, how we see it beneficial for them. But the biggest thing really with the company like that we've been speaking to that have products that are retail, their worry is because typically when they search up the metaverse, like it's the sandbox, it's the central land, that's what comes up. And nobody, you know, none of these companies, if they're selling a great product, whether it be jewelry or fashion, like you're saying, they don't want their product to be seen as like a pixelated, you know, gamified kind of version of their product. That's not how they want it to be seen. So their biggest reserve really is that in itself. And then when you show them, you know, metaverses like Agoraverse and what it actually could be in an ultra realistic metaverse, they get much more inclined to it. But in the end, I mean, they have a lot of questions, right? Because the companies that, you know, we speak to, at least, you know, aren't very knowledgeable in the industry because it is so new. But they are all just so interested in it. Like, I think that really for us, at least, that what we've seen is any business, any company that we reach out to is very interested in it, and every single one of them wants to get on the call, wants to talk more about it, which is great because I mean that's good for the industry. But it is a very big, like, the era that we're in has to be focused a lot around educating people and teaching them how it can be useful. Yeah, but I think a big reservation was always, okay, I don't want it to be seen as like a video game, essentially, as, you know, they won't even really be able to tell what the product looks like in real life through the metaverse. But I think that you guys are doing a great job with that.
Thank you. And you said something interesting. We also noticed, I'm not on every call with the businesses, but on the ones I've been, it's like they only care about the word metaverse, really, and being associated with it, right? They're like, oh, metaverse is like trending like crazy, it's hype. And, you know, once you get past that, you're kind of trying to explain to them why it's valuable.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's, you know, like I was saying, like that's the thing with new technology. It's always going to be like that. You know, everybody wants to take advantage of the fad, the hype, whatever it may be. But as the industry grows, the technology always comes out on top. And I think that, you know, as businesses see it working for other businesses and they see how it works, and it just, the adoption continues, those questions will become fewer and fewer about, you know, just wanting to be in the metaverse rather than actually using it to the benefit of the company.
Sure, for sure. I want to kind of go back at the project in itself, and it's also a question I like to ask usually when I get the opportunity to talk to other projects. Is, to this day, what was kind of the most challenging thing that you faced? Because you're obviously going towards your mint. We've had our share of challenges back then. What are your current challenges, and, you know, what's the way you've been approaching them and kind of going past them?
I think a big challenge at the beginning was just getting known in the industry and finding, you know, connections with the right people, because they're very few in this industry from what we found. You know, people that are really trying to help the ecosystem, that are here for the long term, that see the value in that technology, that aren't just trying to, you know, flip and make that dollar. I think that was a long task for us, was just being in a lot of spaces, doing AMAs, meeting people, you know, getting on tons of calls every day, and really narrowing it down to the people that actually care about the industry, that are actually here to bring some value, but could also help you grow and then introduce you to other people that, you know, had the same view on the industry. I think that was a very difficult thing, just because there are so few that really are trying to bring value to Solana. So it was a long haul, but honestly, it's a very rewarding thing speaking to tons of different people in the industry, all the different perspectives they had. I mean, I think a big step for us, and Jordan was with me as well when we went, is we went to Solana Miami for the conference, and we did this. It was early on in EraMeta, and I think it was a big step for us because we really got to meet all of the different, you know, businesses, or a lot of them that were operating in Solana, and, you know, we talked to hundreds of people that weekend, and it really made us even more confident in Solana, just meeting the people in person, and you know, getting their opinion on the industry, because in the end, like with NFTs, everybody's anonymous, this and that. I mean, we've never been, but a lot of people are anonymous, and it's difficult to know who's really, you know, here to push Solana forward. So I think that was a big step for us. You know, we met Block Asset, and a few other companies that we work with closely, and it was a good move, and it really just made us more confident, just meeting all the people in person and being able to hear them face to face. But I think that was a big step, because Solana itself, especially, and with us not, you know, spending a ton of money on marketing for the NFT. I mean, we will do so for the product itself, but it was difficult at the beginning to just get known and get in that community, because Solana is pretty tight knit.
That's so.
You need to know the right people, really.
Even when going there, you know, like we didn't know a single person at the time. But there needs to be more events like that, because it was just such a rewarding experience. just refreshing, inspiring. Like, I really hope they do host more of those events. So
yeah, and I hope that we're going to be going to NFT NYC next week. And it's a bit of a different conference, but I'm hoping for more of the same.
Yeah.
There's another big Solana event though. Forget what they're calling it this time. But it's just around the corner.
Oh, you have a bunch of hacker houses all year long as well that are pretty interesting. There is one in Barcelona that's a bit closer to us coming up soon as well.
Yeah, one of our developers will be at that. He lives in Barcelona.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah,
we might be there, but it's not really sure yet. So that could be interesting. But it's an interesting thing that you brought up is we kind of, when we started the project, it was again bull run and Metaverse was trendy. So we never really got the problem of kind of, popping up. It was really a fast growth, something, and the challenge came from there, right? Because it was such a fast growth and we weren't expecting it. And then it's kind of coping with what comes after, right? But the point you made about getting the opportunity to actually meet people face to face, or to have people in calls even, and kind of explain to them what you're trying to build and how it's going to push Solana forward is great. But it's so difficult to get into these calls, right? With the right people as well is what matters, I think.
Yeah.
I'm glad that you guys have this traction now, and I'm really hoping for the best for your mint, because I really love your project. I already minted my key, so I'm part of it. I want to kind of open up the floor for anybody from the audience right now, if they have any questions for EraMeta or for myself representing the lofts. If not, I will have kind of one question left that I have. But I want to give the opportunity as some raised earlier, but maybe not here anymore. So guys, if you feel like it, if you have questions about the upcoming mint, obviously for EraMeta, feel free to ask now. But otherwise, I want to ask this question, because it was often asked to us back in the day, is why Solana? Simple question.
I think like a few different reasons. I mean, obviously for the utility of Solana, like having it be so fast and simple for transactions. It's easier to develop on top of. I mean, our developers can talk for days and days, and I think that's a big part of why we chose it, is how much easier it is to develop on top of. Because in the end, Nathaniel, our CTO, was he was really like the first founder, and he is a huge believer in Solana, and it's also, we see it as a much bigger opportunity. I mean, aside from the technology itself, it's earlier on in that adoption phase, and we see it having a similar sort of kind of run as Ethereum has over the last few years. But the main choice, the main reason was due to what we're doing, try to bring Web 2 into Web 3, having the crypto or the blockchain that is simplest with transactions and facets and cheapest with it as well. I think that's a huge reason of why we chose it, is because it works the best with bringing these Web 2 into Web 3. But I mean, another main reason is because of the developing aspect of it, and our developers would have it no other way, basically.
the way they talk about Solana, it's just insane. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
When making the final decision, it's like, okay, there's more potential to build on this chain, so be it, And I was already very, very like submerged in the ecosystem already, and I was a fan, and I was pushing for it. I just like even though things are so tight knit, if you spend enough time and you show enough dedication, like you will break into these little communities and little subgroups and all of that. So I think once you do get your foot into the door, then it's really easy, if you're building something great, to get the whole ecosystem rallying behind you, whether or not they're buying your product or not. It's like when you look at, you know, something like OK Bears, like people still rallying behind the project just because it's good for the ecosystem, you know, whether they like it or not. So I'm just a fan of that, that people can be supportive whether or not they're minting your project or not. And I hope with our two projects, you know, people see that we're trying to do some good, bring web, you know, that Web2 money into the Solana space. And, you know, like whether or not they're holding our product, they can watch from the sidelines and be like, okay, like these guys are on the right path, and hopefully like people follow our footsteps.
Yeah, for
Yeah,
sure.
and to touch again, kind of just quickly on like the community thing, like we're gonna be cross chain, right? Like our launchpad's gonna operate on Ethereum as well, likely by September, and we're operating in both Ethereum and Solana metaverses. So we're gonna be cross chain, but all of like all of the profits that are made through the Ethereum chain will be converted to Solana, and like we're really here to grow Solana, but we see the utility in other blockchains, and we will be operating across many different as we move forward. But that community aspect of Solana is another big reason why we chose Solana, because it is so tight knit, and we want that to be like the main crypto that we're operating on, because we want that community aspect. But there's a lot of different reasons why we chose Solana. But I'm curious to hear your opinion on it as well.
I'm just so happy that you mentioned your developers being hyped about Solana, because that's exactly the same for us. Like our senior developer, he just loves Solana, the technology behind it, and he's just really keen on being able to work on it, and especially since it's only in beta and there's so much more to be improved on. And it's people are quick to kind of hate on Solana whenever the TPS is very low, or the price is obviously fall down, or obviously there is a bunch of stuff that can be improved on. But where we are already at, in such a short amount of time in terms of blockchain capacity, I mean, it's impressive. Even though I'm not a kind of tech guy, a dev guy, even though I can appreciate that from an external point of view. So definitely that dev aspect is also present with us, and the community is insane. In both the good and bad ways, right? I'm not gonna show it at all. You have some insane stuff happening. It's so entertaining. Like my personal experience with NFTs and Solana, it's pretty recent. I'd say like the end of 2021, I really kind of got into it, and just being in the space every day, you see those things, you see the metas happening. So obviously you had the Metaverse meta. Now you had the staking meta. Every project had to have staking. Now it doesn't matter anymore. Now it's the whole branding stuff, and the branding stuff is dying out as well. And now it's kind of looking at what's going to be the next meta. It's kind of like the Great Depression meta right now, because everybody's of but
yeah, hopefully we shift to the only meta that should ever really matter, which is builders, building real products and real companies.
Yeah, we'll get to that.
Yeah, exactly. Like eventually adoption will happen, and that will be the only meta. But
yeah, I'm a firm believer in, if the content's good, there's going to be an audience for it. And I think that's, at the end of the day, it's you can have marketing, you can have hype, you can buy that stuff, but if the content is good, then you will have an audience for it. And the focus around the content and the product that you're building, and how it's answering to a need, how it's bringing something new. And and I just like Solana is madness, and it's great to be operating in it. But yeah, we're getting close to this 1 hour mark here. Again, if there's anybody from the audience that wants to ask a question to any of our projects, otherwise I will let you guys kind of give a parting words, what we should look forward to, details around your mint. Obviously it's happening soon, and how we can learn more about the project.
Yeah. Well, first of all, just thank you guys for having us up. We're really excited to be working with you guys. I mean, I think we have the same vision on a lot of different things. I mean, the industry itself, and also, the use of the metaverse. And I think we're gonna work really well together. But as far as announcements for EraMeta, our whitelist mint is a week from tomorrow, so on the 20th. And then if there's anything remaining after that. We're going to do a public sale on the 24th. So those are 2 dates to look out for. And then our Launchpad product is going to be releasing the first week of July. We're currently, undergoing a full website makeover, redesign, rebuild, which will come the same time right around the product. So a lot of different things, but yeah, those are the main things to look out for, and we're really excited to move forward.
Yeah, I just wanted to drop some things as well. We got a lot of cool stuff coming. This, you guys are gonna be getting a new flushed out roadmap quite soon, where there's a lot of cool surprises. A lot of things to look forward to. We're here to build for the long term. If you want to watch some founders grow old and build products, we are we are your guys.
For sure.
We're only here to build, and we're true believers in Solana. So we're gonna be around for a while.
That's great to hear. I'm gonna leave the blue chip rugs as requested to speak. So here you go. I think I know who this is. Pretty regular here. How are you, blue chip rugs?
Hey, what's up, everyone? Great space today. Thanks for having it on a Sunday. Just here at the house with everybody, just trying to keep my sanity. I don't know how many of y'all have kids, but man, hell. But no, my question was for EraMeta. As a project that hasn't launched yet, I look at these launch pads and I'm always curious, like, who controls the keys after that? I'm not a real techie guy. I'm trying to get there because I love Web3 and NFTs and all that good stuff, but I just don't really have a good understanding on, if I launch on your platform, do I own, like, can I go back in and like mutate those later and like make changes? Like, who owns that stuff?
Yeah, all the metadata is owned by the user. So if you're launching through EraMeta, it's not the same through other launch pads, but we keep everything decentralized. So you launch through us, you own all the metadata. You can change whatever you want. Yeah, it's all in the hands of the creator.
So that,
And again,
I didn't mean to cut you off. I apologize. But
No, go
I guess
ahead.
my question is, so then what? The project needs to come to you with the JSON files and the JPEGs, and then from there you're able to work with them and get them on the right track.
Essentially, yeah, you come to our website, you create a profile, you instantly get access to the dashboard, our launchpad. You can import your art, you can generate your art. And yeah, we generate you you set basically how many you want with all the traits, different backgrounds, everything. If you go check out the pinned video on our Twitter, you can see one of our developers launching an NFT through our MVP in 2 minutes. But yeah, and then you generate your art, and essentially we create you your own website through the launchpad that you do your minting from, and you can customize that website, that storefront, make it your own. But yeah, you own all the metadata. Everything's automated. Doesn't require any team members from EraMeta to go through the process.
Holy smokes, that sounds hot as hell. But wait a minute. Wait. You said though, wait, because look, I'm in the part right now. You know how these projects are. We got steps we got to follow. So I'm in the whole website creation place right now. I'm working with the artists and stuff. Are you telling me I don't need to do a different website? The only website I need is yours, or like, what is is it only for the launching, and then after that?
Oh yeah. So it's more for the selling of the NFT. So we're not gonna like create you your own like full website. It's more like we create a domain where you can customize a storefront where you mint the NFT from. But more like what projects will do is they'll have it linked to their website. So it'll be another domain linked to their website where people can come on and mint from their website. Yeah.
And to touch on when Damon is saying fully customizable, like, we really plan to, over time give access to, the goal is hundreds of templates, right? Like, we want you to come on, like you're saying, you're working with an artist, like, you want to come on with them, and you don't want to mint your product and make it feel like it's launching through EraMeta or any other. That's the problem with these launch pads, is like, you go on and you feel like you're attached to their brand and their identity. You can come on and give it your own feel, your own sauce. And I think that's really going to change the game for creatives. And again, like, no bottlenecks in the process, fully automated. We plan to have very comprehensive videos so it can be easy for anyone to understand. The goal is to get even your grandmother or grandfather to launch a project, man. That's how easy we're trying to make it.
Thank you so much for your time. I love what y'all are doing. the Lost Business Club, one of my favorite projects. Y'all are doing great things. Love you.
Thank you very much. It's always good to have you on here. Ask always relevant questions. Thank you very much. I'm just gonna say some words about the loft Agoraverse, since that's usually what we do on Sundays. But we are working at the moment on releasing the lofts in their final state. So with everything, frictionless. With no issues. We have done a lot of testing. We have, beta testers have been very helpful into kind of identifying bugs and issues for us, and we've worked hard on improving that. That being said, we're also working on our PFP collection, something that's coming up towards the end of the month, and some of our community members already know about. But yeah, it was definitely great to be able to share the stage today with EraMeta. We want to try to do this more, kind of sharing the stage with other projects and projects that we like, obviously, and that share our vision and our philosophy on the space. So thank you very much to EraMeta, Justine. Thank you guys for coming up.
Thank you, dude. We really hope to eventually meet in person.
That'd be great.
One day, sometime soon.
For sure. If you come in France, no
we're trying to make the move sometime soon, man.
That'd be great. But yeah, thank you guys. This space will be available on our YouTube channel as well. I think I have not hit the record button on Twitter, which is a shame, but I have recorded it myself anyway. So if you guys want to go back on it or share it with somebody else, you'll be able to. Thank you very much. Have a lovely end of your weekend, and EraMeta, we'll talk to each other soon, and good luck with everything with your mint.
Sounds good, guys. Thank you.
Cheers.
Enjoy the rest.